It's back! I told you it'd be back, and I managed to release it so shortly after the first one, and just in time for the holiday season. In case you didn't see part 1 or you just forgot about it, I thought it'd be a brilliant idea to do a 25 Days of Christmas type thing, but only with super shitty Christmas movies. I had to put the project on hold for a while because I was losing my mind, and then I couldn't resume it because I think Netflix has like a seasonal contract with Christmas movies. So let's just get right into it. I'm looking forward to this.
I can't wait, gonna cross the Frisco Bay, hoping we could celebrate, 'cause I'm twitterpated by your touch, captivated, you're too much, elevated by this Christmas kind of love.
Why was I excited to get back into this? Alright, chin up. I'm feeling more determined, if anything, like I'm an athlete about to go and beat the opponent's ass. We're bringing back the series with the movie called Holiday Engagement, which fits under the genre of suburban dysfunction according to Netflix. I personally didn't know there were enough movies with the label suburban dysfunction to classify it as like an entire genre, but here we are. Before we truly get into this son of a bitch, we need to talk about how vague and generic this title is. It doesn't grab me at all. I have no clue what this movie's supposed to be about. Even after watching it, I barely know what it's about. Holiday Engagement. Are people getting married? Is it about people who are meeting one another just like around the holidays? Is it just about holiday icons proposing to one another? Well, let's talk about the plot so we can find out. Hillary is a writer who is engaged to Jason, a man of low moral quality who believes he is in line for a promotion. To put in perspective as to how bad their relationship is, the two of them are engaged and don't live together. The promotion Jason's up for would send them out of town, putting strain on their relationship. So, logically, the two of them should work something out because they're engaged and in theory they love each other. But if I've learned anything from these movies, no one's logical. Jason calls off the engagement because of a promotion he hasn't even secured yet. Hillary's pretty bummed out because she's now single and was planning on introducing her now ex-fiancé to her family at the upcoming Thanksgiving dinner. Even though she's going to a Thanksgiving dinner, there's a load of Christmas music being played in the background in order to sort of like shoehorn this movie into the shitty Christmas movie genre. Since her mom is one of the shittiest people to ever live, Hillary decides to go with a brilliant plan to hire actor David to pose as Jason for the family gathering. David accepts the role because Hillary would give him 2 tickets to Mexico if he goes through with her plan, which has no potential flaws whatsoever. To prepare for the holiday engagement, David has to study everything about Jason and know what each of Hillary's family members look like. David, posing as Jason, meets Hillary's family, and it's revealed to the viewer that he's a really shitty actor, in and out of character, who forgets just about everything he was supposed to remember. Hillary gives David his tickets to Mexico at some point, and he leaves the establishment. It's further revealed to everyone that the mother truly is one of the shittiest people to ever live, by offering no lines of encouragement to Hillary after David leaves. David returns back to Hillary and gives the tickets back to her because a deal is a deal, which is a load of bullshit. Like, imagine going to work and they pay you at the beginning of the week, then they say, you don't need to come in for the rest of the week, have a good time. Would you even consider saying, hey, I work here, a deal's a deal? No, you'd flash deuces and get out of there. After zero additional character development, these husks of humans continue to do what they're doing until the real Jason shows up. Hillary reveals her dog shit plan to everyone, to which everyone realizes they signed up to act in a movie that hired some sort of sawed-off humans as writers. David skedaddles on out of there, and Jason goes back to being Hillary's fiancé for some reason. Shockingly, Jason's still not a good person, and Hillary notices this after her dad has a talk with her. The talk was essentially her dad saying, your fiancé is a one-dimensional character whose only dimension is being a pile of garbage. He's way less shitty than this guy who was originally using you to get plane tickets to Mexico. Go back to him. Then the mom claims she hates the real Jason after not talking to him at all, and she says she should go after David. Of course Hillary should love him. I mean, she's seen him act as someone else for 3 full days. It's practically fate at this point. Jason is kicked out of the house. David comes back for no reason. Again. Then Hillary and David get married for real. If you got lost at any point during this plot because it didn't make sense, then you shouldn't really worry, because you're probably following along just fine. Well, time for my review. Looks like I'm back into the swing of things, aren't I? Oh god, where do I even start? This was a generic romance comedy, I guess you could call it, with no redeemable points really, so I'll just point out the extraordinarily awful. I did not laugh during the entire movie. I wasn't sure if this was supposed to be a rom-com or a drama, but it was barely a romance and it was barely a comedy. It was just a waste of time, really. The entire concept of the movie was tremendously bad. If your fiancé, with one E, leaves you before a family get-together, you should tell your family that you aren't together anymore. Easy as that. Don't lie to them. They'll still love you, I hope. If you don't want to let them know on such a short notice that you got dumpstered, tell them he's away on a last-minute business trip or something like that. I mean, the problem with that is that they're going to find out one way or another. that you're not with your partner anymore. Rip it off like a band-aid and get it over with. If you're a mouth-breathing dumbass, you'll go Hillary's route and fake a fiancé to the rest of your family. What is her endgame exactly? Like, no matter what happens, you're going to have to bring up that you're not with them anymore. Well, let's humor her regardless. If she wants to do this right, Hillary should play it cool for a few days and wait, she tells her mom that she set a date for a wedding that isn't going to happen. Hillary, what are you doing? You absolute goose. After giving him the tickets, why is David coming back at all? He has the plane tickets. Get the fuck out of there, dude. You're golden, pony boy. You know what these movies are like? It's like watching porn. Hear me out. There are people on screen, whether they have something in common or whether they can't stand each other, you know what the end result is going to be. The difference between the two is that whether love is being made or being fallen into. In the case of the poor movie characters, they're going to wind up hot and heavy, dating the shit out of each other by the end of it. They've known each other for 3 days. Hate to say it, but they're getting married. They started the movie engaged to someone. Odds are they have zero compatibility, and everyone's going to wonder why such a sweetheart is going to spend the rest of her life with some douche. Don't go with a guy who you were somehow okay with for months on end. Go with the dopey bastard whom you've known for less than a week. Kiss my ass. This movie sucks. After watching the first 11 movies, I sort of started to get the hang of the formula for these romantic comedies. Well, good thing The Spirit of Christmas turned out to be a romantic drama. Daniel Forsythe is cursed for eternity to come back every Christmas to his inn. Kate is trying to get the property of the inn appraised, but can't due to the aforementioned spooky ghost Daniel Forsythe. As she's appraising the house, she sees a room full of severed heads, and attached to that room is a room full of sacrificed goats, and I made that part up, but could you imagine that? Like watching what you thought was a romantic movie and having it turn out to be some like gore-filled experimental horror film. Anyway, this movie is super boring, and the girl falls in love with the spirit. Daniel fell in love with the girl like over 90 years ago. She's long dead too, and he's just been trying to get back to her for all these years. And after a while, they figure out why Daniel's cursed to come back every Christmas, and if he does like one more thing after figuring out why he's cursed, he could finally rest. So instead of doing that, he decides to ditch the girl who he's longed for over 90 years and stays with the real woman whom he's known for 12 days. The two kiss and the movie ends. Fuck this movie in the ass. I don't know who the target audience of this movie was supposed to be. It tries to hit every genre, but fails to do well in any of them. It has like the plot of a comedy, but it's treating it like a drama. At points it tried to be a horror, but it failed to be scary. It tries to be a mystery, but it never fully commits to it. It's the worst of all worlds, and it leads to a super boring movie. How are we supposed to believe that a girl falls in love with a ghost? This is a romantic relationship resembling B-movie in terms of ridiculousness. Why would he leave the girl whom he's loved for 80, 90 years for a girl that he's known for 12 days? I feel like they don't have any real attraction to each other other than you're hot. It's a dumb plot and it leads to a boring movie. To make this review a little bit more bearable, here are some fun facts that I decided to look into while watching this snooze fest take place. Icicles most often form on the south side of houses. A hanky-panky cocktail consists of gin, sweet vermouth, and a liqueur known as Fernet Branca, and a shot of Fernet Branca has a nickname called the bartender's handshake because of its popularity among mixologists. Typewriter is one of the longest words you could type using only a single row of keys on a QWERTY keyboard. There are 10-letter words that share this property, and if you count hyphens, then it's possible to get a 12-letter word teeter-totter. The only word that you can type on the bottom row of keys is ZZZ because there's no vowels on the bottom row. I'll put it this way, you're more likely to remember any of the facts I just told you now than anything specific about the film The Spirit of Christmas. Don't watch this movie. Please, I beg of you. I apologize if that review wasn't as thorough as you would have liked, but there really isn't a ton of content in any of these movies. They all blend together the more you watch them. Single person can't fall in love, meets someone who they hate at first, they share something that's super insignificant, then they kiss at the end. Like, come on. It's hard to care about a lot of the characters in these movies, but am I supposed to encourage a girl to hook up with a ghost? You can't fight Christmas, at least as humans hooking up with other humans. Ever so slowly, I thought I was getting to the end of the holiday rom-coms, but I still have to dredge through some more garbage until I'm on the other side. Going into this one, I wasn't insane, I just felt unenthusiastic. Morale is low, water is scarce, and Christmas is here. You want to resist, but in the end, you can't fight Christmas. Leslie is a decorator for a hotel, and Edmund is a guy who is trying to increase the profits of the hotel. The hotel historically is perfect for the holiday times, and not great the rest of the year, so Edmund has the greatest idea to throw away their best source of income and is trying to eliminate the holiday feel of the hotel. Leslie and Edmund drink a lot one night and sleep together. Throughout the rest of the movie, there's a lot of drinking. Like, a lot of drinking. A good drinking game for the film could be drink when they drink. That'll get you feeling a certain kind of way, and by a certain kind of way, I mean absolutely clapped. Leslie has a thing for Edmund the entire time, and Edmund's roped into a relationship he doesn't know about with his business partner, Millicent, who's just a butthead. This turns Leslie away, and she's just a sour personality to everyone for the majority of the screen time, even though she's sort of portrayed as the bubbly, happy person in the beginning. After a complete lack of humor throughout the movie, Millicent has the deranged thought that her and Edmund are getting engaged. Edmund hears this and is like, "Bitch, you're crazy." Edmund plans an event to bring in more business to the hotel after trying to fight Christmas, even though it's well known that you can't fight Christmas. And the investors are all like, "Hey, this whole Christmas in the hotel thing is pretty cool," to the surprise of Edmund and to the lack of surprise to everyone watching. Edmund's like, "Maybe we should focus on making the rest of the year good instead of bringing down the only good part of the year." Edmund also goes back to Leslie, the two of them kiss, and the movie ends. Predictable, the acting was bad, jokes weren't funny, yada yada yada, it's a cookie-cutter holiday rom-com. What I liked about it was actually focused on Christmas the entire time. Usually Christmas is sort of like in the background, but this time it was always there. It was always in your face. The plot still sucked, though. Don't get me wrong. The plot sucked. In the beginning when Leslie's like, "I love Christmas," and Edmund's like, "I'm not a fan," just end the movie there. They are good for each other. I need a break from these rom-coms. It's torture at this point. I need to toss in some sort of variation for a holiday movie because it's just getting brutal at this point. The 14th movie in this project is How Sarah Got Her Wings. The last movie really knocked me out of commission. It took me 24 days to get back to continuing this, and boy, I'm not looking forward to it. The plot I read online was that Sarah is in a fatal accident around Christmas time, which is a match made in heaven. Heh. My fingers are crossed that this winds up being like It's a Wonderful Life. I know it won't be, but for fuck's sake, toss me a bone or something. I saw a guy in the thumbnail, so the odds aren't too high that this isn't cookie cutter. A company that keeps popping up in each of these movies is Mar Vista Entertainment. Recognizing the opening to their logo intro is like on the same level for me now as recognizing when a movie is like Universal, Disney, Fox, or some other big name studio. The difference between the last few examples are that those are big studios, whereas Mar Vista has a passion for pumping out liquid diarrhea shit movies. In case you cannot tell, the main character of the movie is named Sarah. She likes to volunteer around the holidays and give back to the community. Also, she's very easy on the eyes. Sarah could reasonably be a poster child for some sort of charity that helps the homeless, and I would set up direct deposit for all my checks to go straight to that charity. That's all I'm saying. She seems a homeless man, and he seems to have lost his dog. Sarah goes out to find the dog, and after finding the dog, she gets fucking drilled by a bus. The screen goes white, and it's revealed that Sarah and the dog seem to be dead. I mean, can you just imagine being the homeless guy? He lost his dog, which is literally all he had, and then a kind woman tries to find it. Then you hear there's a horrible accident outside the building, and you discover your dead dog in the arms of a mutilated woman. Merry Christmas, am I right? Well, Sarah's waiting to get into heaven in front of the pearly gates, and the hostess tries to look her up in the database. The dog goes in automatically because all dogs go to heaven. That wasn't a significant part of the film, I just thought it was adorable. The hostess says Sarah isn't on the list to get into heaven because she still has to sort some issues back out on Earth. That's it. Alright, going off on a tangent. I never really understood why people work in heaven. You put in all these years of good work and good deeds and just general wholeheartedness, and then when you finally get there, you have to deal with the people who complained just because they weren't good enough to get into heaven. That sounds like hell to me. Wait, maybe the hostess is actually in hell. Moving along from this religious and theoretical tangent, the hostess tells Sarah that in order to get into heaven, she has to be an angel in training and go back to Earth in order to make things right. Sarah gets sent back to Earth and finds herself in her ex-boyfriend's place. After 7 minutes of screen time, the ex-boyfriend, Jordan, finally puts a shirt on. And after a few more minutes, he realizes that only he could see Sarah. Sarah spends time with him and tries to figure out how she can make things right for him after dumpstering Jordan on Christmas Day a few years ago. Jordan starts spending less and less time with his actual girlfriend in order to purchase a bar with Sarah, who's helping him out. Jordan is dead set on one bar, and the owner's a bit of a dick who is not really budging. So Sarah uses her angel powers to convince him. She convinces him so much that he just hands over the keys, just like that. Can you imagine that shit? Being the owner of a restaurant, and then you don't want to sell it, and then some stranger comes up to you, puts their hand on your shoulder, and just lists all of your personal demons. Imagine that. Hey, I want your car. I'm not giving you my car. No way in hell. Those kids shouldn't have been crossing the street. Wait, what the fuck? It wasn't your fault. They're smiling and laughing, playing kickball right now. I'm sorry, who are you? They've got a 43 Merlot and a table waiting for you. God, why are my eyes sweating? They trust me with your car. Son of a bitch, I'll give it to you. Let me fill up the tank first. Jordan thanks Sarah for helping him out and realizes he's falling in love with her. Apparently falling in love with ghosts is a movie trope, but who knew? The two of them kiss and it flashes back to Sarah at the pearly gates. The hostess says that she still can't get in, and Sarah's like, what the hell? excuse my language, but I thought I did everything right. Please don't send me away. The angel's in a good mood and sends Sarah back down to make things right. Again. Sarah sees Jordan and realizes that he can't see her, meaning she has to help someone else instead. The other person is Jordan's now ex-girlfriend who's heartbroken after Jordan left her alone on Christmas. Once again, good old Sarah ruins someone's Christmas day. She has to make sure Jordan gets back with his ex-girlfriend, signifying that both Sarah and Jordan finally moved on. After a while, she gets the couple to fall back in love, the angel hostess says Sarah can enter, and Sarah realizes she doesn't want to go to heaven yet. The line, "sometimes it takes dying to realize you want to live," was literally thrown out there. The angel rewinds time so that Sarah winds up getting pushed out of the way of the bus by a handsome man. The dog was brought back to Earth too, which I think is just unfair. I mean, that dog was getting all the tail it wanted, munching on Scooby snacks, and now it's back on subpar Earth. It's just bullshit. The guy asked if Sarah was alright, and since Sarah realized she's in a rom-com, she decides to kiss him on the mouth unconsensually. The dude's like, alright. And the movie ends. When I'm watching these really shitty rom-coms, I like to imagine that sometimes there's like things going on behind the scenes because characters shouldn't wind up together because they just don't want to. I like to think this movie is the best portrayal of my thoughts. Like, Sarah managed to pull the strings to get two people who didn't like each other to get back together again, and then she managed to make out with a dude just before the credits. This movie seemed original and wasn't cookie cutter, surprisingly, so I'd say it's a win in my book. I think the whole concept of angels needing things to get shit done just sounds like silly in my opinion. Like, picture being a human being blessed by an angel. Imagine you want to like get a promotion or like something you've been striving for a while, and the angel's there to help you get it. But like the angel's only there just so like he could get into heaven. So he's constantly going like, "Hello? Can you hurry this up? I don't got all day. Behind the pearly gates I got some pearl necklaces waiting for me, you schmuck." This movie was surprisingly not atrocious. I may even go as far as to say I didn't hate it. As is the case with most of these movies, the cast was generally good looking, but the acting was meh at best. If you approach it with the mindset of, these people don't want to get together like any other rom-com, but Sarah's the movie director needing to get the shit done so the movie could end, then I think it could be a bearable watch. It's near the top of the scale when it comes to these bad movies, but it still isn't good. I'd give it the rank of less torturous. At this point, I noticed that most of the movies were taken off of Netflix, so I thought I would just postpone this project until late November or early December, like when holiday season starts. And so I went about my life like how I normally do, and then I figured out a little fun fact. You know what's worse than watching shitty Christmas movies around the holiday season? Watching shitty Christmas movies while sweating in May when you don't expect it. Before we get into this, I just want to discuss the rest of my idea for the series. So I wanted to break videos up into blocks of 5, so that way I could really focus on the plot, because I know most people aren't going to watch these movies, so it just seems like I'm ranting about nothing. And also, I heard videos should be shorter and, a little different, so I'm taking in everyone's feedback, and I want to put out better content, so that's why I'm only doing 5 this video. That way it won't take forever to put the series out, instead it'll just take, a little less than forever. That being said, let's get into Just Friends. Just Friends is about how Ryan Reynolds was fat and awkward, and then he got in the friend zone with a girl named Jamie. He grows out of his beta male cuck self, and then he turns into an alpha Chad, sleeping around a lot, breaking girls' hearts left and right. He's given the job to transport a lunatic pop star, Samantha, from California to Paris, but she almost burns the plane down by microwaving tinfoil, so they have to land in his home state of New Jersey. He reconnects with his single mother and his friends, then he sees Jamie, who looks exactly the same. He asks her out, fully projecting his alpha Chad persona, and she says yes. On the date, Jamie quietly prefers the old Ryan Reynolds, beta fat person, so she's displeased with all his machismo that he's projecting, and they have a terrible date. Ryan Reynolds asks her out again, and for some reason, Jamie agrees. Ryan Reynolds is once again on an ass date, and Jamie sees another guy who she rejected back in high school, who also looks a lot better now than when she did back then. Ryan Reynolds, fuck it, I'm just going to say his character name. It's really annoying saying Ryan Reynolds over and over again. His name is Chris. I'm going to say his name is Chris from now on. You happy? Chris realizes that Jamie prefers his, quote, pussy. Fuck. Alright, I gotta do that again. Chris realizes that Jamie prefers how much of a pussy he used to be, so he really hams that up. When he asks her out, she says yes, but she brings along the guy that they reunited with on the last date. Chris and the other guy basically have a pissing contest for a lot of the runtime. That's just what most of the movie is. Jamie and Chris get closer as time goes on, and they start reflecting on how Chris looks vastly better now than when he did back in high school. The two of them wind up in the same bed, but Chris doesn't make a move even though Jamie seems to be putting herself out there. Jamie reveals that she doesn't see the other guy as anything more than just a friend, and that dude leaves for the rest of the movie. Chris snaps at how Jamie treats himself as just a friend, and Jamie's like, "What the fuck, dude? You didn't do anything to make me think otherwise," and slaps him. Chris flies back to LA for 3 minutes, only to realize, wait, I'm in a romantic comedy. How's the director planning on ending this movie? And he flies back to New Jersey, where he knocks on Jamie's door, apologizes, says he likes her. 2 kiss, and the movie ends. You know, it's been quite a while since I've seen a shitty Christmas movie. I mean, it's to you, it seems like it's only been like 3 minutes. But when I was watching this, it's like, it took a little longer. Like, I haven't seen a lot of good Christmas movies in a while, and this was no exception. This was a garbage flick, and I planned on watching some B-grade rom-com on a weekday night, but instead I got a Christmas movie. That theme of why is that girl dating this piece of shit was in the form of protagonist Ryan Reynolds for most of the movie. When you have a complete and utter scumbag of a human as your main character, you're likely not going to root for him. Like, I'm trying to think back on the characters that weren't the worst. I guess the mother wasn't that bad. I mean, she was just a mom. Other than her, yeah, everybody sucked. Every character in this movie sucked. Chris was an asshole. Samantha was a crazy piece of shit. The other competing dude turned out to also be a scumbag, and Jamie is a little bit more complicated, but she's not great. You want to like her because she's like any other girl who has guy friends who never say anything to her, but at the same time, she does a lot of really questionable things. There's a part of the movie where Samantha, the crazy pop star, burns most of Jamie's yard to the ground because of Chris, and Jamie doesn't even do so much as mention it. When Chris was his "I'm better than everyone, and I heard you like to date assholes" persona on his first date, she still went back on another date even though she clearly didn't have a good time on the first date. She's cute and portrays the role of a girl who lives her life normally while dudes blame the friend zone. Also, this movie's about the friend zone, which is just a fucking stupid concept. You realize how I didn't mention Christmas, like, at all yet? Well, this was because it was one of those Christmas in the background types of films. They had carolers and there were lights all over the place, which is enough to put it in the category of a Christmas movie, but it really didn't have a consistent theme of Christmas throughout the runtime. This was an hour and a half of no comedy and characters that are impossible to get behind, with the romance being cringeworthy. I mentioned it before, but a lot of the Christmas movies that are on my list aren't on Netflix anymore, so I still need to push this project off until later. God damn it, I won't be defeated by these shitty made-for-TV movies. I will prevail. I will prevail! Thank you for watching. If you like this video, tell your friends. They might like it too.